Hey everyone, welcome back to my favorite Norns scripts. Today I'm going to be talking about Compass by Olivier Couret. Compass is a very unique script and one that I return to often if I want to get some really wild sounding results. Compass is described as an asynchronous looper built around the concept of a command sequencer. It is made up of two buffers that can be manipulated independently in various ways through inputting commands. Compass has two pages, the play page and the edit page. You can swap between them using encoder 1. I'm going to start with the play page. The play page displays the two buffers as well as their playback/record head positions. Underneath them is the command line. Encoder 2 is used for moving between the different steps of the command line, and encoder 3 is used for selecting a command for the current step. Short pressing button 2 will fully randomize the command line. Long pressing button 2 will reset the command line. Short pressing button 3 will record arm the two buffers, and long pressing button 3 will clear the buffers. Holding button 1 and turning encoder 1 will adjust the number of steps of the command line. The steps can range from 2 to 16. While holding button 1, encoders 2 and 3 will adjust the buffer start and end points. Finally, holding button 1 and pressing button 2 will start or stop the command line clock. Now we can move on to the edit page. This page displays what the different commands do and allows you to toggle the commands on or off. If a command is toggled off, it will be excluded when randomly generating a command line with button 2. One thing to note about this page is that disabling or enabling any of the commands will clear the current command line. Encoder 2 will navigate between the different commands, and button 2 will toggle the selected command on or off. I'm going to go through the commands in order. The open square bracket will set the clock speed of the command line to the slowest speed. By default, all of the command steps are set to this symbol. The closed square bracket will set the clock speed to the fastest speed. The less than sign will slow the rate of the clock. The greater than sign will speed up the rate of the clock. The final command line control is the question mark. When this symbol is encountered, the sequencer will jump to a random step. These next bunch of controls are for manipulating the audio buffers. F will set the playback direction to forward and the rate to 1. R will set the playback direction to reverse and the rate to 1. The plus sign will increase the playback rate by a factor of 2 and set playback to forward. The minus sign will decrease the playback speed by a factor of 2 and reverse playback. The exclamation point will set each buffer to a random rate independently. These rates can be either forward or reverse. 1 will reset both buffers to the start point. P will set each buffer to different random positions independently. L will randomize the loop length of each buffer within the set range. The open bracket will randomly change the left pan position, and the closed bracket will randomly change the right pan position. Finally, the double colon will toggle recording on or off. The final two commands are for Crow. T will send a trigger to output 1, and V will send a random voltage ranging from 0 to 10 volts to output 2. Compass has a pretty straightforward parameters menu. The first group of controls are for recording. Here you can set the input to either stereo or mono, set the record level, and set the overdub level. Next are the buffer controls. Here you can manually set the playback speed for the buffers, ranging from half speed to quadruple speed, either forward or reverse. The rate slew controls how rate changes behave, with low values being instantaneous changes and high values having a glide effect. Fade will introduce a fade at the beginning and end of the record buffers. The pan controls allow you to manually pan the two buffers, and they can be panned independently. Pan slew is similar to rate slew and controls how quickly pan changes will occur. Start point and end point are the same controls from the main menu and affect the buffer length. The only other controls in the parameters menu are for Crow and the R controller. Since I don't use either of those, I won't be covering them. The grid controls offer a lot of performance potential. I'll be calling the rows 1 through 8 and the columns A through P. I'm going to go through the columns in order from the top. Row 1 is for the pattern recorders. Rows 4 and 5 display the playback location for buffers 1 and 2. Row 7 displays the command line playback location. In row 1, buttons A through D are used for recording key presses related to the buffers. You can jump to different positions within the buffers by pressing various points in the rows. To arm recording, press one of the pattern slots, and to stop recording and start playback, press it again. To clear the pattern, hold the Alt key, which is found at 8A, and press the desired pattern slot. Buttons 1M through 1P are pattern recorders for the command line. These behave the same way as A through D, except they will let you control the command line instead. This is how the pattern recorders are set up by default. However, you can press button 2A to instead have both sets of pattern recorders recall both buffer and command line gestures. The last control in this grid view is the clock button. This is found in 8P. This button toggles on or off the command line clock. This is where things can get really fun. If you toggle off the clock, you can now play the different commands instead of having them sequence in order. The grid has one additional page. If you use Encoder 1 to navigate to the edit page, you'll see the commands reflected on the grid in rows 4 and 5. You can use the Alt key to toggle any of these commands on or off. Like I said in the intro, you can get some wild results from Compass, and I think that's where it really shines. I'll often just jam into the buffers and then seed a random command line and see where it takes me. That would be cool enough on its own, but being able to play the different commands with the grid really humanizes the script. Combine all that with the 8 pattern recorders and the possibilities are endless. Like Barcode, Compass is a script that gives you immediate results with very little tweaking. That's going to do it for today's episode. As always, thank you for watching, and if you have any topics or scripts you'd like to see me cover in a future episode, leave a comment below. I'll see you next week.